And that's really what's on the line in this election coming before us. Obviously, Democratic nominee, as of a couple of days ago officially, is Kamala Harris, somebody who's never won a single presidential vote, not in 2020 and not in 2024 at this point, not a single electoral vote, not a single primary election vote. And yet she is coasted directly to being the Democratic nominee, working with her friends in the propaganda media and in big tech, all working to try to hide the truth about who she is and what she stands for and the disastrous record that she has had. Now, over and over at the convention, in her speech, she talked about freedom. She talked about how she will be the president who will defend our freedom, and she will provide a future that is truly free and safe and prosperous. I almost fell out of my seat when I heard her saying this, and it reminded me of the saying, "Beware of the wolf in sheep's clothing." Her words mean nothing. Her actions and her record tell the whole story. As vice president, she was tasked with securing our borders. Over the last 3.5 years, we have seen unprecedented numbers of illegal immigrants from all over the world crossing our borders. As Senator Kamala Harris showed, she does not believe in freedom of religion. She opposed a judge who was nominated by President Trump for one reason and one reason alone. He's a devout Catholic. She says she stands for freedom of speech, but has shown us time and time again, not only against me, but against Donald Trump and many others who have dared to challenge her power, that she will not hesitate to weaponize our law enforcement, our national security agencies, the IRS, and any agency that she has at her fingertips against her political opponents. We saw what they have done to Donald Trump, trying their very best to lock him up in prison. They tried to remove him from the ballot in over 32 states to make it so that voters didn't even have the opportunity to vote for him. And recently, most egregiously, they denied multiple requests for additional Secret Service protection to deal with the threats that he faced, which resulted in a very near miss of an assassination attempt on his life. We have to remain vigilant because they are using every tool available to them against us. And we have to remain vigilant, looking at their words, not their actions, because they claim to be defenders of freedom, and yet they are taking our freedom away. They claim to be defenders of democracy, and yet they take our democracy away and are undermining our basic fundamental rights in a democratic society. They claim to be upholding the rule of law, and yet they are weaponizing our justice system. They claim to want to unite our country, and yet from day one in the Harris-Biden administration, they have been tearing our country apart on the basis of race, on the basis of politics, on the basis of religion. They claim to stand for peace and diplomacy, and yet we are now on the brink of multiple regime change wars, World War III, and nuclear war under this administration. Now, I was a Democrat for over 20 years, and these are some of the main reasons why I left the Democratic Party. It is under the complete control of this elitist cabal of woke warmongers who are doing all they can to divide us, to destroy our Constitution, and to take away our God-given freedoms. That is the truth and the reality that we face, sadly. But that leads us to our call to action, our opportunity, because the power is in the hands of the people. It is up to us to reject these self-serving, corrupt politicians who reject freedom because they cannot be trusted to defend our freedom. We see this at dictators and authoritarian leaders around the world. They weaponize public institutions because they're terrified of a free people. They know that when we use our power, when we lift our voices, when we speak the truth and make sure that we are heard, then we expose their lies and threaten their ability to stay in power. The focus of this conference is freedom fighters. That is the thing that unites us. We will have disagreements on some issues, maybe many issues, but fundamentally, if we do not have the freedom to speak freely, to stand up in this marketplace of ideas, then we won't have the freedom to debate, to agree, or to disagree. And that's what's at stake today. We have the opportunity to bring about serious change, certainly in our election, but even between these elections, the defense of freedom is an ongoing effort and an ongoing fight where we must stand strong if we hope to have a free and peaceful and prosperous society for our kids and generations to come. We are the only ones who can hold our leaders accountable. That even in the most hopeless and dark of times, we have to keep that flame of freedom alive in our hearts, knowing that it's worth the fight, not only for today, but for tomorrow and for those who will come after us. It's worth it. And I will close with the most powerful truth that will give us that inspiration on those days when we may feel tired and we may be questioning, is it worth the fight? It is worth the fight. Por la gracia de Dios somos libres y lucharemos para seguir siendo libres. Unamos fuerzas y luchemos por la fe, la familia y la libertad. Gracias, México. Que Dios te bendiga. Aloha. Thank you so much.